What's up guys, Zila here from Sky Garden Tarot, and in today's video I want to talk about the concept of twin flames. Many seekers out there who are hoping and dreaming for a super intense spiritual romantic connection, you know, the kind of connection described by poets through the aeons, as well as inspired composers to write symphonies. This is one of the most common reading topics that I get for tarot readings, for example. One spiritual connection that has become part of popular discourse in recent years is the concept of twin flames. Twin flames differ from the idea of soulmates in one major way. In soulmate theory, we are each individual beings who are already complete, and then where you might be able to meet your kindred spirit. In contrast, twin flames are two halves of the same soul. So the concept of twin flames ends up being quite controversial actually. So there are a few theories about where the concept of twin flames originated. One of the main ideas is that it comes from Plato's Symposium, where Plato wrote that humans were once multi-limbed beings. They had 4 arms, 4 legs, and 2 heads, and they were so powerful that the gods were fearful of them. So the gods split them in half, giving rise to 2 beings out of 1. This made humans less of a threat to the gods. So these 2 beings then are 2 mirror beings. They are 2 parts of the same whole, and this is where the idea of twin flames comes from. Twin flames are not 2 souls, but rather 2 halves of the same soul. The idea is that they once were one being, and that they share the same energetic consciousness. And they differ as well from soulmates in that they chose then to divide in order to experience life separately, to grow, to evolve, and then ultimately be reunited one day through love. So there is an element, some sense there of incompleteness until the person is reunited with their twin flame, with their other half. A famous pair of twin flames are Genesis P-orridge and Lady Jaye, who describe themselves as a single androgynous being by the name of Breyer P-orridge. Breyer P-orridge actually underwent physical transformations and surgeries as part of their androgyne project. To quote them, I'm just going to read down below, they said, "We started out because we were so crazy in love, just wanting to eat each other up, to become each other and become one. And as we did that, we started to see that it was affecting us in ways that we didn't expect. Really, we were just 2 parts of one whole. The androgyne was the whole, and we were each other's half." This is a true distilled example of twin flames, and I think to many people it might seem very, very extreme, but this is exactly what we would expect of twin flames. It's that concept, that idea of merging, to connect, to become one, to be whole. If you're wondering what it feels like to meet your twin flame, or wondering whether you may have already met your twin flame, these are some characteristics that are pretty common amongst twin flames. And the first one is an intense connection. There's complete feeling that you've met this person before, even though you might have just met them. It might feel like you have known them your whole life. It might also feel like you might feel like an intense magnetism to this person, and as some people describe it as well, as though they've spent multiple lifetimes together. So you can already see how that could also be quite tumultuous, but we'll get to that later. Another very common characteristic of twin flames is that the flames will feel that they have a shared purpose. It might be something in this life that they want to accomplish. They might have a similar vision, and they might find that they are best able to achieve this vision when they work together. Twin flames may feel then that they have to really cooperate in order to make a positive impact on the world, to create something, to manifest something. It's the kind of thing that is a life's work that is just magnified and best achieved when working together with your twin. Another fundamental characteristic of twin flames is the idea of mirroring. It's almost like looking at yourself in the mirror when you're around your twin flame. You might find that your twin is living a parallel life to yours. There will be many similarities, synchronicities between you, as well as synergies. And the other part of it is that they can mirror back to you exactly who you are. So when you see them, it's like looking in a mirror and seeing yourself. There are also challenges that come with this. So this experience can be both positive and negative. Again, that's something that we'll discuss more detail a little bit later. Another characteristic of twin flames is the idea of separation and reunion. Through one's lifetime with your twin, there might be periods where you can't be with them for whatever reason, whether it's that life has just taken you to different places or you need to focus on other projects and things. Often it might feel like there's some kind of fate or destiny that's keeping you apart when you desperately want to be together. And you may go through periods where one partner feels ready and willing to be in the relationship and the other partner doesn't. So this then gives rise to periods of you being together, and then eventually things don't work out and you separate, but then you ultimately down the line reunite again. And finally, the last main characteristic of a twin flame connection is unconditional love. Twin flames experience a love that is all-encompassing. It's through thick and thin, it's through light and dark, it's that intensity. So flames have a feeling of being drawn to their twin no matter what, and also even when the relationship can be very destructive. Okay, so to change track just a little bit, I want to talk a bit about some of the challenges that come with a twin flame connection, because there's a wealth of information about the profound beauty of a twin flame connection, and it is indeed that, but there are also some serious challenges that come with these connections. I think one of the reasons why twin flame theory has really hit the world by storm, it is a very romantic concept. However, in my experience as a reader, this tends to only be the case for what I call aligned twins or synchronized twins. And this differs in stark contrast to what I call unaligned twins or unsynchronized twins, or also shadow twins. I would describe aligned twins as those who have reached an emotional maturity that allows them to be in a happy and healthy relationship with their twin. Usually this emotional maturity is it's hard won. It is through experience, it is through hard work, it is through a lot of personal work and individual work. Otherwise, there's a great risk with twin flames that the connection can be full of shadow. Shadow connections are ones that I would describe as being very intense, very powerful, but also very destructive, a lot of conflict, a lot of arguments, a lot of power struggles, and ultimately it is a connection that undermines the well-being of one or both of the partners. These connections can be very exhausting, they can be emotionally draining, and even toxic. One of the main challenges that comes with being with a twin flame is that idea of mirroring. It's something that is beautiful, but it also can be a huge challenge, because when you're with your twin, this person can reflect back to you your fears, your insecurities, the good and the bad parts of yourself. It's nice to see the good in yourself, but not everyone is fully equipped to deal with seeing their bad and really experiencing what it is like to even date themselves, because that is what a twin flame connection is like. So the mirroring can actually be a massively positive and constructive tool for personal growth and personal awareness. If a person is willing and able to take criticism, to really look hard in the mirror and do the work that they need to do around that. But if a person is not ready for that, or not able to endure that, or doesn't have the emotional maturity to cope with that, then this can be very triggering, and it can also magnify one's fears and also worst qualities as well, which can just lead to a hot mess. The intensity of the twin flame connection can also lead into codependency. Now, I'm not a moralist, as in I don't actually believe that there's one correct and appropriate way for a relationship to be, and I don't see codependency in itself as something bad. I think there's quite a narrative out there about how everyone needs to be strong and independent, but that kind of way of being, it doesn't suit everyone, especially, for example, the water signs. In astrology, they have this great calling and inner need for connectedness and for merging. For something like codependency or any kind of behavior, actually, I apply 3 criteria to decide whether this may be an abnormal behavior or something that could be harmful. And I have actually mentioned these criteria in previous videos. The first criteria that I would look at when deciding whether a behavior is harmful or not. Firstly, whether the behavior is extremely different from a cultural norm. The other one is if it's maladaptive, so does it undermine the ability of the person to function in daily life? And lastly is whether it causes personal distress, either the person who is experiencing the behavior as well as the people around them. We wouldn't apply any of these criteria singularly. We would need to look at them all three as a whole, and if they're all kind of being checked off the list, like yes, 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 then maybe it's something that needs to be looked at and explored to a greater extent, maybe with a professional. But otherwise, again, just to reiterate, I don't see codependency as something that is necessarily harmful. So in the case of twin flames, codependency I think is quite common. It's a natural consequence of the intensity of the connection, as well as the mythology around the connection, the idea that you're two halves of the same soul. This may mean that each twin may find themselves feeling really overly attached to their partner. Maybe their moods, their behavior, their well-being is dependent on that person, on their moods, their behavior, and their well-being. And we're back after my battery died. Where was I?
One eternity later.
So we can see then how a twin flame connection could actually be very challenging, especially if it undermines the ability of each individual to develop their sense of self and to learn tools that they need in order to function. It can also lead to an unhealthy dynamic in a relationship, a power dynamic. Sometimes there's a lot of manipulation, and that's why I call some of these connections unaligned. Aligned twins are confident in their individuality, and they together with their partner out of choice rather than an absolute intense need. Being together with their twin actually promotes their well-being rather than undermining their well-being. I mentioned earlier the separation reunion part of the twin flame connection. This can also give rise to the running chasing cycle. In this dynamic, a twin flame connection will go through periods where the separation is actually because one of the partners really doesn't want to be in the relationship at that point in time.
Why are you running?
Either they recognize that it's an unaligned twin flame connection, or maybe they've got other goals that they want to focus on, whether it's career goals or life goals or whatever it is, and they feel like being in this relationship right now it's too intense, it's too much, it undermines their ability to achieve those goals that they have, their own personal goals. Now, this person would be the runner, whereas the other twin may be the chaser. And this is a person that has that feeling that I mentioned earlier of unconditional love, and that they want to be with this person at all costs. They will fight for this person. The real shadow is the concept of control, the idea that they want this twin, this person, to be in this relationship, even when that person is expressing a desire to not be in that connection at that time. Essentially, what they're doing is ignoring the lack of consent to be in the relationship. Consent is a necessity for a positive and healthy relationship. And actually, one of the reasons why someone could end up being a runner is because of exactly those characteristics that make the twin flame relationship seem so romantic can also be very problematic and challenging. For example, the mirroring, the intensity, and so forth. What is interesting though is the partners can switch the runner and chaser roles at any point. This can happen multiple times, and it can happen through multiple years. It can happen through decades and a whole lifetime. If the runner-chaser dynamic is never appropriately resolved, then these relationships can be especially toxic, and they can cause a lot of pain and emotional trauma. There's some other criticisms of twin flame theory that I just want to touch on. The first one is the idea that the concept of twin flames puts a lot of pressure on people to find intense romantic connection, when actually in reality most relationships are not like that. And in some cases, even healthy relationships shouldn't be like that. It really depends on the individual situations. The concept of twin flames can lead to a feeling of disappointment or self-doubt when you have actually met someone who is very aligned with your heart space, but you're looking for the idea of twin flames in your life. And so I just want to pause here and mention that there are many different types of relationships out there. It's about finding one that suits you best and serves your needs best. Another major criticism of twin flame connections is that it really describes a monogamous relationship, and one that may, in some people's eyes, not necessarily be the most healthy. There are many different types of relationships out there, many different love languages, many different ways to love, and that the idea of twin flames or monogamy does not necessarily suit everyone. True cases of aligned twin flames are really rare. In my experience through decades of being a spiritual practitioner, is that I much more commonly see unaligned cases of twin flame connections, ones that are pretty full of shadow, and I think it's something we should talk about, especially those of us who are readers. I find in most cases aligned twin flames appear when both of the partners have put in the work to work through the challenges of having been unaligned in the past and putting all of that experience towards personal growth and self-love. Ultimately, this culminates in that emotional maturity that I spoke about earlier that helps both partners to work through conflicts in a constructive way. They should be able to express boundaries in a healthy way, and not only express boundaries, but also respect the boundaries of the other twin. In the mythology of twin flames, aligned twin flames are actually thought to be due to multiple lifetimes. In some cases, the hard work of working on oneself so that you can be in a healthy twin flame connection, that hard work might not have been in this lifetime, might have been in previous lifetimes. Another pattern that I've noticed in aligned twin flames is that paradoxically, alignment comes when both partners have walked away from the relationship in the past. So the catalyst of alignment being when both partners choose to let go. Even though they feel this intense connection with this person, they will, what I call, love from a distance. So I think another reason why alignment is so rare is because it kind of goes against the nature of what twin flames feel inside. Their urge is to merge and to connect no matter what. Whereas to catalyze alignment, both of them have to walk away from the connection, and part of that also may involve letting go of the idea that it's going to be in this lifetime that they're reunited. It might actually end up being in future lifetimes. So if I were to ask that of a twin flame, especially someone who's in the chaser cycle, it can be a very, very hard thing to do. However, I truly believe that it's important that no relationship that undermines a person's well-being or both people's well-being should ever be forced, even twin flame connections. So a fundamental characteristic that I've noticed in aligned twin flames is really breaking that runner-chaser cycle. So hence the rarity of aligned twin flames, because it really does require an intense selflessness and a delay of gratification that goes against the very nature of the twin flame connection, in that usually they feel that magnetism, that pull, that unconditional love that makes them want to fight through all the challenges. But by walking away, they really can give the opportunity now to love from a distance rather than love within a toxic connection. Loving from a distance also gives time and space for a person to really work on their own healing journey. And let me tell you guys, alignment is worth everything. It is worth the wait, it's worth the delayed gratification, and more so than alignment and being reunited with a twin flame is the benefit of taking that time for self-healing, self-work. It's pure distilled self-love, and I truly, truly believe that all love starts with self-love. So while twin flame connections can sound very, very romantic and appealing, it can also be incredibly damaging to believers, especially if they do not fully comprehend the full picture of what is required in these kinds of relationships and what some of the shadows are. And I do feel that spiritual practitioners, whether we are tarot readers or psychics or whatever medium one may work with, when someone comes to us, the shadow side of it is very clearly explained. So even though twin flame connections sound very, very romantic, the emphasis for all of us, I believe, should be on self-love and on building healthy, constructive, supportive relationships with the people who are around us, with people who respect us and love us for who we are. By doing this, we can really create a foundation for lasting happiness and fulfillment and shift the balance towards healthy connections in the future, whether it is with a twin flame, a soulmate, or some other kind of connection. Swamp Monster Editing Zila from the future, just jumping in because I forgot to ask you guys, what do you guys think of twin flame connections? Have you ever been with your twin flame? Have you ever experienced an unaligned twin flame connection? Please let me know in the comments below. And also, if you are a tarot reader or psychic reader, please let me know as well what you think of the ongoing narrative on twin flames. I would love to hear from you. Thank you, and back to the video. I absolutely adore doing tarot readings on romance and love and the heart space and exploring heart energy with my clients. There are 2 spreads that I love to use, and I'm going to drop them in the description below. Please feel free to try these spreads, put them to use, let me know what you think of them. And also, if you want to work one-on-one with me, I'd be happy to do a reading for you. I take all of my bookings on my website, which is skygardentarot.com. On that note, guys, as always, please be aware of scammers. There are people out there who are imposters. They steal my content online. They pretend to be me. If you follow me on social media, for example, Instagram, then they might DM you pretending to be me, offering you readings and services. Always remember, I will never DM you to solicit readings. Always check the handle or the username of the person. If there's spelling errors or extra punctuation or digits or whatever, it is not going to be me. And please keep your wits about you. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Please hit that notification bell so that you never miss a video from me. As always, much love, blessed be, and thank you for being here with me today. The other aspect of twin 4 limbs, 2 arms, 2 can't math. A famous pair of twin flames are